Fiona is the singer-songwriter of her generation. Her writing is so personal, her words and her rhymes and her phrases.
With Quentin, people started realizing and appreciating again how important the director was.
Say what again?
The word that comes to mind is just unbridled.
I'm the loud mouth, motor mouth, and she's the angelic little nymph.
Quentin is famous for his writing and his directing and for also for just him, the soul of him in everything that he does. And he's not just important because he's made these very, very popular movies, you know? It's not just that, it's him. He's got that kind of energy that a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old has where they're not yet self-conscious enough to worry about. They're not looking anywhere to find out what people's faces look like while they do things. They're just doing things.
I've known what I wanted to do since I can remember back to having a memory. From then, I wanted to be involved in movies. Now, I didn't know what a director was, per se, at that time. So, you know, I just knew that that was the only thing I gave a damn about. That's the thing I loved, and so I wanted to be part of it. So when you're a little kid and you want to be part of it, what you see are the actors. So I wanted to be an actor, but it was about being involved in the movie. I don't even think I said actor, but it was more like, well, what do you want to do with it? I want to be in the movies. Action! My favorite movie when I was a little boy was Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I loved monster movies and I loved comedies. And in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, yeah, it's very funny when Abbott and Costello are around. But when they're gone, it's actually played very straight. And I actually remember having the thought, these are the best movies ever. When it's supposed to be funny, it's really funny. And when it's supposed to be scary, it's really scary. I can't believe they make movies like this. This is the best movie ever. So even as a real young child, I was making genre distinctions. I was noticing that there were genres, and I liked this genre, and I liked that genre, and actually blending them was like a really sexy thing to me.
I had been playing piano very, very seriously, starting when I was about 11. I started out by writing, like, I would write scores to chase scenes in National Geographic Explorer series. You know, like I would see a something chasing a something, you know, a lion chasing an impala, and the impala with those gorgeous jumps, I remember, you know, and I would go into my room and try to make the jump happen on the piano and the chase happen on the piano. I like to do these instrumental things first. And then my friend Manuela, who was my best friend in 2nd grade, she had this huge fight with her parents, and it was just like, oh, well, what you do when your friend is upset is you write a song for them. And so I wrote a song called Manuela, and then that's kind of started me writing songs with words.
She's got such a gifted voice, and she's such a gifted performer and such a gifted musician, and you could talk about her for days and never even bring that up. Just talk about the writing, all right? And her words and her rhymes and her phrases and her microscope on herself and on, you know, the human heart.
Well, whenever I've written a song, it'll just come off of one thing that catches my eye, so to speak, in life, something that somebody said that I thought was so appalling and insulting that also happens to have a really cool rhyme that could go with it, and then there's 2 lines, and then 2 more lines, and you've got a verse, and it just kind of goes off from one thing.
I met Fiona, gosh, it's almost, when did I meet her? I met her in 1997, and I just finished Jackie Brown, and she was going out with Paul Thomas Anderson at the time. I was his girlfriend, and I was friends with Paul, so then I met her through him, and then we hung out like a bunch of times, a whole bunch of times. I got to be really, really good friends.
Well, the first time I met him was in New York, and I had just met Paul Thomas Anderson, and we were together and we went to Quentin's apartment, and I remember that I was walking across the street and I saw in the gutter this videotape, and I picked it up and it was somebody's student film. Can you imagine if they knew where it's gonna go right now? Because I'm gonna pick the student film up and I'm gonna bring it in my bag, going down to meet Paul Thomas Anderson and Quentin Tarantino, and I'm gonna play the student film for them, and we'll see what it's like. And I thought that would be so cool if it was really great, and it turned out to be, and they all they did was make fun of it. It was really sad. But it was really funny to me just to go, oh my God, of all the places, if this kid only knew where'd I leave my student film? Fuck, where is it?
I've been coming here, God, for about 11 years now. It's a real cool, groovy, artistic town. I mean, it's a music town, it's a film town, and it's really great that way. I have to admit, I'm actually nervous about seeing her, because I haven't seen her in about 5 years.
Look at him.
No. I mean, I actually, so you're a little nervous? No, I'm scared. Come on in. This entire complex is Robert Rodriguez and his wife Elizabeth's complex. This is Troublemaker Studios. Let me show you my outfit. You'll get a kick out of it. Me and Robert are doing like a double feature movie. We're doing 2 separate movies and we're releasing them together. But not like Twilight Zone the movie. It's like he's done a whole movie. And
It's a double
I'm doing
feature.
whole
It's
movie.
yeah.
Exactly. And I gotta show you, okay, one of my things. These are all original 45s.
Oh, really?
The original labels. Like, to give you an example. But I have to tell you something. I just love Extraordinary Machine so much. Literally, after I got it, it was like, I'd go up in my record room. Every day, 'cause right next to I have a record room right next to my bedroom. And it got to be one of those things where it was like one of those albums that I had to play every day for like weeks.
That's the greatest thing to hear, because I can remember sitting in your record room and you were talking about other albums, and I was like, I want to be one of the albums that he's excited about.
Oh, that was it. No, there is a complete groove in the carpet, all right, that belongs to Fiona Apple, all right, because it's not like I'm just sitting on the couch gelling, I'm like, I'm certainly not shopping for any new shoes.
I really, really enjoy fitting words together, but I only enjoy it when it's kind of easy, when it just kind of rolls along by itself.
To take information.
I never erase or cross out anything. I hardly ever write anything down. The song will be completely written in my head before it's actually written down.
I actually started breaking down some of her songs as far as just kind of looking for my favorite lines. And I found that like a lot of the lines that I loved the most, not all of them, but a lot of the lines I loved the most, all right, were of violent imagery. And she writes very violent sentences, all right, and invokes very violent imagery. And it's metaphorical, and she also means it at the exact same time. No, she did want to kill him at that moment. Not really, but yeah, really.
My mom used to say that when there was anything wrong with me, that there would be 3 sounds, and there would be, first the sound would be of me stomping down the hall to my room, then the door slamming, and then just all this banging on the piano. And I don't know, there was always something that I was drawn to about the piano because of its percussive nature. I guess in the same way that some people like to get their aggression out by playing drums or something, or hitting people. I like to hit the piano.
Violence is one of the most cinematic things you can do with film. It's one of the most cinematic things. They're almost as if Edison and the Lumiere brothers invented the camera to film violence. It's one thing that cinema can do, that books can do, art can do, and music can't do on its own. It's a different thing. You know, the perfectly done musical sequence, whether it be an edited montage or a musical sequence, and a violence sequence, they are the exact same thing. You are dealing with the exact same emotions, you're dealing with the exact same cinematic techniques and the exact same rhythms and the exact same emotions of the viewer watching it. And, you know, it's the exact same thing. I got to know and had a very lovely relationship with Sam Fuller before he died. I met him on the film festival circuit, and I remember I was there with Reservoir Dogs, and he goes, "Okay, kid, so who's in your picture?" I go, "Harvey Keitel." "Harvey Keitel? Harvey Keitel is in your picture? Who the hell are you to be making your first movie with Harvey Keitel? He's not a star, he's a planet." But he's like, "I'll tell you what I liked about your movie. It's a movie about idiots. Those guys are morons. I don't even know how they tie their shoes in the morning. I mean, Marty, he makes movies about professionals. Your guys were idiots. It's about failure. That's good. That's good. You don't see that." Here's the thing I had in my life. I knew before I never had to worry about that I was gonna die before I made a movie. I knew I would never die. God put me on earth to do this thing. He's not gonna take me out before I can do it.
Oh, really?
So I can grow up in Los Angeles my whole life. I loved earthquakes. I loved earthquakes. I loved them when the earthquakes happened. I wouldn't get out of bed. They happen in the morning and I'm laying in bed. I'd never get out of bed, man. I'd just ride it. I'd surf the earthquake. I ain't gonna die in it. God didn't put me on earth to die in an earthquake. He didn't put me on earth to die in a car crash, you know, die in a plane crash. After I did Pulp Fiction, maybe I could go now. Maybe I'd done what God wanted me to do.
I'm really interested to see what Quentin does for the rest of his life, because what movies, because I have a feeling like that they're gonna, that we don't really have a full picture of him yet. Like, as strong as a personality in film as he is, I don't think it's all been put on the table yet.
We haven't seen each other in 5 years. This is the first time we've seen each other. She saw me on one of the worst nights of my life. That was the last night?
Dad and yeah.
No, well, look, it was a horrible emotional night for me. I just had a broken heart. My heart was shattered and broken into 1,000 pieces. And I went and saw her and Paul and cried in their living room. And then they consoled me. But, you know, I look back on it very fondly because there's not that many human beings on the planet Earth that I share that with. I'm more inclined to crawl into the closet or climb under the bed until it's over. So, we're doing this double feature with Robert, which is like a real fun project for us because, you know, we're best friends. So it's really cool, and he actually got the idea to do this just from hanging out at my house and hanging out at my theater and watching movies. You know, he'd come over to my house and you know how when I show a movie, I'll have a bunch of trailers in front of it, and I show the film, and then I show him another film and some trailers in between that. And, you know, my stuff is really lurid, so I really like the exploitation kind of stuff. Anyway, so I show it to him, and you know, I have posters all over my house, and some of the posters I have are these old, like, from the either 50s or 60s, like, double feature posters. This one and this one. Well, we want to deliver what these posters promised, but they never delivered in those movies. Yeah. You know, like, that never happens in Invasion of the Mushroom People. It is serious that we'll get together tomorrow at the Johnny Cash bar. Me and I Cat, which you're going to love.
Thanks to make a list.
Hey, special guest star Robert Rodriguez.
Hey, good teenagers. How are you?
Really good, really good. Hey, Robert, this is Fiona Apple.
Hey, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
And this is all his.
This is my studio. Well, it's our studios now. I invited him over, and he joined me, and now he's here.
Nice to meet you.
And enjoy the rest of the tour.
Thank you.
Cool. Hey, thanks for letting us do this.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Through here.
This is so fun.
And it's just gonna be filled with like Mexican and Spanish movie posters. And what we're gonna do is pretty much the way Robert did the walls in my office. We're gonna do that to these walls. So it'll be that like blown out plaster and the, you know, and the phantasmagorical of colors bleeding into each other. It won't be these. These are just to give you, you know, yeah, to give it an idea of what.
This is where they are before they go to the bar later.
Yeah, exactly.
Before the trouble starts.
Yeah, exactly. Before the trouble starts. Before things get rotten in Denmark. So what? Okay, Robert's story is like a zombie movie, and my story is like a slasher movie. All right, except as opposed to a guy with a hockey mask and a machete, it's a guy with a car. And now, you know, it's kind of cool. One of the things I'm doing in the movie is the New Zealand stunt girl.
Yeah.
In the film, Zoe Bell. She's a real person. That was Uma's stunt double.
No, yeah. I was like, the name seemed familiar to me, so I looked it up. Yeah.
Yeah, she was Uma Thurman's stunt double. So I'm casting her in the movie, and she's gonna play herself, and she's gonna do her own stunts.
That's cool.
And it's kind of cool also because I've never done a car chase before. So this is my first time like doing, and I wanted to be, if I'm gonna do it, I want it to be one of the best ever done in the history of cinema. So it's like, but that's really like throwing my hat in a different ring, you know. Kill Bill was the first time I'd ever done that kind of action before.
Yeah, I remember seeing something you saying about that you thought that if a director could do action well, that those are the people who can direct action well are like the best directors.
To me, they're the most cinematic directors, where like, you know, they're taking cinema and, you know, getting you hard.
Yeah.
And making you come, actually.
And that would be the hardest, yeah.
I mean, I really do, actually, I really do. Think about it like that. You know, as far as the audience is concerned. Like, I'm doing my own thing, but I'm thinking about the audience, too, but not in a manipulative way. I am the audience, all right? You know, it's like I'm jerking off the audience. I'm not expecting anyone to be, if they're sitting back watching it like this, didn't do it.
Yeah, waiting for that last moment where it was this moment where the rear mirror all of a sudden realizing this is about to and then
right. And so when you're sitting there and you're up on there and they're watching it like that, and they're just waiting for it to crash and waiting for it to crash, and it is like a cum shot. Okay, waiting for it to crash. All right. And if at the last moment they want it, at that moment in time, they want it to happen as much as the bad guy does. They want it. That's what they paid to see. And if at the last moment they averted.
That's blue balls.
Yeah, no, yeah, you know, you're right. No, that is me. No, that's me, just director as torturer. Yeah. Director as fuck with ya. Because I can. During the 80s, when I wanted to make movies, which was probably one of the most repressive times in Hollywood cinema, was that kind of touchstone 80s era, and like there would seem to be so many, you know, rules about films as far as like, you know, the heroes can't be this and they can't be that and they can't be unlikable, and like everyone has to be likable for every second, and you know, all these kind of things. And one of my favorite like cinematic scenes of all time was the opening scene in Pedro Almodovar's Matador, of the guy jerking off to slasher films. And I was like, oh, man, that is touched by God genius moment. Opening shot of a guy jerking off to slasher films. That is so cool. I remember like telling some of the guys at Video Archives that I worked at, I was like, man, I'd love to do an opening like that in a movie sometime. That would be really cool. And then somebody goes, yeah, well, they wouldn't let you. And my answer to this, and people have said little things like that all my life. And I'm like, who's they? There is nobody I've given them, I have given nobody that kind of authority over me to say I can't do anything. I can do anything I want or I can achieve. It's up to me. I don't ask permission. I might ask forgiveness, but I don't ask permission. And there is no they. There is no they. And by saying that there's a they, you're creating a they.
I know that I was real pouty, and I know that I was, and I know that I was also being yanked around everywhere, and that I had good reason to be pouty, but I just know that I was so miserable. The whole reason why I wanted to make an album in the first place was because I was so tired of trying to explain my personality to people. I was so uncomfortable with the social situations that I really, really thought that if I had a CD of songs that I could just have that, put that out in the world, and then everyone would understand me, and then I would have all the friends in the world. And of course, what happened to me in my particular situation, I think most people find out that what they thought, you know, they thought if they got rich or if they got famous that everything was going to be solved, and it wasn't. But in my case, not only did I not get what I wanted, I got exactly the opposite of what I wanted to have happen. Instead of having everybody be my friend and understand me, everybody thought I was awful.
The entire time that we hung out and we knew each other was during my 6 years off.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I knew I was gonna make a movie again, but I was in no hurry. I was
Yeah, I remember
really,
you just being like, you were,
I was happy living life.
yeah.
And you know, and in a weird way, it's funny. You're really one of the only people that I know that has done what I've done for the same reasons and what I consider the right reasons.
Yeah. I got a lot of shit too, like after the last album, like from people that were close to me, like being like, you have to keep on working. You're being lazy. You have to get to the next thing. You're wasting what you've got. You've got this great opportunity. You've got, you know.
Right.
And it's like, no, really, if I were to force myself to do it, then it would be crap.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people are so crappy about, and that's why people get awful and they lose their thing.
Directors don't get better as they get older. They get worse. All right. They get very out of touch.
Is there anybody that you can think of that's gotten better?
There's a couple of people, but not many, all right? And especially if, again, I'm not trying to be crude for effect, but, you know, this.
Yeah.
You know, when it goes soft, it goes soft. And it looks like it. You look like you're looking at movies by guys that can't get it up anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't write a song unless it serves me in some way where I feel like I have to write the song.
And
to make myself feel better. Yeah. You know, if you're not overflowing with something, then there's nothing to give.
To me, the writing the dialogue is so easy. I actually feel just a touch of a fraud taking credit for it, even though I'm protective of it. I feel like, you know, it's just like, oh, it's like some sort of God antenna, and it's like, if it's, you know, it's...
And most of the time is spent with just keeping the antenna out there. That's like 90% of the time, and then all of a sudden you go, okay, I'm full, and you sit down wherever you're sitting down, and it goes bleh. It's simple. If I end up writing songs that I want to record and sing, then I'll be doing this, hopefully, and then I want to do it. But if I don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it, like I don't want to do it and because I want to do it, I'm going to go and try to write songs. It's got to be the other way around. Like, if I write songs, then I'll be doing it. But if I don't feel like writing songs, I will not force myself to make an album, just pull one out of my ass just so that I can continue to be in the spotlight or something, or to continue to... It doesn't always have to be my career. There's no law that says that I have to have this as my career my whole life.
Here's the thing. They can write a mean letter. They can write a mean memo. But these guys don't really have any real fight in them. If you're a real artist and you will go all the way, and if you're an artist as opposed to a careerist, and your movie is more important to you than a career in this town, they can never beat you. You have a loaded gun in your waistbands, you know, in your belt. You've got a loaded gun, and it's filled with bullets, and you know you've got what it takes to put it in their face and blow their heads off. You have what it takes to do that. If you know you can go there, it's about never taking the gun out. It's about never touching the gun, never raising it, never pulling the trigger, never blowing their heads off. It's about not going there. It's about not doing it, but you know you can. So if you have to flash it, it means something.
Tour Austin with famed director Quentin Tarantino.
With once famous director.
Yeah. The Tarantino.
Let's get a beer. Take the edge off.
Okay.
Hey, y'all. Yeah, this is the boy band sing-along, right? Oh, yeah. Excellent. I want it that way. Best The best song of the boy band era. Sing a little bit.
No! Oh, don't! I swear to God, I don't want to know.
It's right there. La Manitas. It is pop songs. Talking about heartbreak and falling in love that I listen to.
They're taking the feeling and making it as broad and as simple, and they're screaming it out.
And applicable to everybody who's listening to it.
Yeah, it's bright and shiny. I'm sad or I'm happy, and those are good to when you don't have to think about it, but you just feel it.
Right.
You know, I really honestly do not know if I will ever write a song again, or if I'll...
Right,
If you have just made something, you should fucking feel like you've got nothing left in you.
Yeah, I consider making Kill Bill like me climbing Mount Everest. That was a big mountain that I created, and I climbed it. And I taught myself how to climb as I climbed it. Now that I've climbed Mount Everest, I don't know if these little hills over here are gonna be so attractive, but I don't know if I want to, like, start that expedition all over again, either. That was a big motherfucking thing. Well, I met Francis Coppola's wife, Ellie Coppola, and she asked me a question, so what are you doing next? I go, well, I've been planning this big World War II film for a long time, and now it's time to do it. I'm doing Death Proof in between, but the next thing I'll do is this World War II movie. The only thing about it is, it's a big Mount Everest kind of epic, and I've already climbed a Mount Everest, and you know, I gotta get myself up to climb it again. And then when I was through talking, she goes, I think maybe this is the time in your life to climb Mount Everest. You maybe not want to be climbing Mount Everest, you know, 15 years from now. But right now, now's your mountain climbing days. I'm a sound check virgin. I've never been to a sound check before. It's very exciting. So I'm nervous right now because I know you're getting ready to perform. So I really want to stay out of your way, and I don't want to be presumptuous, and I don't want you to feel like you have to entertain me or take care of me. So I'm just like, no, do their thing. They got a ritual, let them do their thing and whatever. But you actually made me feel very comfortable. Thanks.
I think like a long time ago, I used to feel really weird, like before the shows, leading up to the shows. But I haven't gotten stage fright in a long time, actually, like, and so I don't really feel like, and like because all this time, like because of like just things having fucked up so much before, and it's been okay, like it's now actually become actual fun. There's also something in that has to do with finding something that you're afraid of or that is uncontrollable, and then facing up to it, and then it becoming, and turning it into something else. Turning it into something that's enjoyable, something that's routine, and conquering it. And then making it mean something else to you.
There's a weird aspect about movie making. I don't know if Paul ever brought it up, but it is this weird kind of thing where it's like, you do kind of figure out how to do it. You're just kind of pulled along through the experience. There's no way you can predict everything that's going on. You just kind of pull through the experience. And the second one, you know a hell of a lot more than you did the first one, but then there's still, being pulled along at least 25%. But when it came down to the third one, now I kind of got it. And that was scary to me. I don't want to be a professional. I'm not in the Directors Guild. I don't want to be in the Directors Guild. I won't be in the Directors Guild. I like holding on to my amateur status. I wanted to be a professional in all the right ways, but I didn't want it to ever be a job. And I even questioned, would I die for Jackie Brown? I would have died for Reservoir Dogs. I would have died getting a shot for Pulp Fiction. I don't know if I would have died. I would have thrown myself in that kind of harm's way for Jackie Brown, and that scared me a little bit. I think the reason why was the fact that it was based on a novel. So it wasn't an original thing. It wasn't an original seed born from me. Just by the, I mean, and I always loved it, and I liked the idea of adapting a novel from time to time, but that one once removed aspect.
Actually, the last time that I got actual, I didn't really have stage fright, but the time that I've been worried is when I had to sing somebody else's song. Like I did this thing with Elvis Costello, and I had to sing one of his songs, and that makes me nervous. Like I've come to a point now where if I fuck up my own stuff, it's fine because I'm the only one that'll get mad at me. Or think less of me, you know. And it's happened a million times.
I mean, it's completely. I mean, it's a weird pathological fear because it's never as bad as I think it's going to be. And when it is, so what? You know, who cares? The only way to deal with it is to get over it.
I let the beast run too soon. I don't know how to put up my hand on the soul. I gotta always answer. Oh, darling, it's so sweet to think how crazy I am. You say you don't feel easy, you won't go, but I know what I pray that you will.
The time in my life when I'm completely, really at ease and not thinking about anything and purely in the moment is when I'm singing. It's when I'm playing the music. I do admit that.
I'm super hungry for a fight, and I will not let you win. My pretty mouth will frame of phrases that will disprove your faith in man.
I don't know that it was actually like that before. I can't remember. I really honestly cannot remember what I was or how I was feeling when all this started.
And I want it so bad overkill, 'cause I know I'm a messy, all clean up. I got to focus, these hands are too shaky to hold. Hunger hurts, but starving works when it costs too much to love.
One thing I think that we are both similar, we live kind of in fear of awkward, embarrassing moments. I've actually lost people out of my life because I'm just too afraid to call them on the phone and get through that awkward, embarrassing shit.
All I think about is trying to avoid awkward, embarrassing moments, and for some reason, I feel like everything that I do in life is a big stage that is set exactly for that.
Right.
But I am afraid of making a fool of myself in front of like the guys in the band, even though I know that they love me and I know that, but that's who. You know what? I got really scared right when we were pulling up and you're sitting on the motorcycle and stuff. In my head, it was like I had like, oh, there's gonna be a big hug, and I know that like I'm in. You know, we haven't hung out in this long, and our relationship is such that I was like, you know, I have true affection for you, and I know you have affection for me and stuff. And I was like, oh, there's gonna be a big hug. And the split second that I was opening the door, I was like, what if it's not that way?
Yeah.
What if, like, in my head, we had this really sweet relationship, but he's gonna be like, hey, it's nice to see you again.
Right.
Because you're not even like that with the strangers that come up and say sick things to you at bars. I'm gonna go, ah!
And it wasn't about, I wasn't afraid of rejection. I was just afraid of like, okay, so now what do we do? And now what do we talk about? And what do we say? And okay, here's my office.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about your record.
Yeah.
And we are coming up to the Bat Bridge.
Oh, this is a long time coming for me. I'm really excited. How many are there? 40 million or something?
It's the 2 million.
Can you see the bats even when they're not, like, can you look under? If you're standing like down there or something, can you see them?
I don't think so. No, I think they're all by the water, and then they'll all be in the shadows of it and everything. It's the whole thing about them
They're
taking
all
out.
under
But
us.
I don't want, yeah. Let's go. Hey, how you doing? Thing was funny, during the time that I was writing Kill Bill, I was like, I would write all these different little like scenarios that could have happened with the bride, and I'd take her in that direction and decide, nah, I don't want to go there. So at one point, I thought it'd be cool for her to get into a big car chase here in Austin in the Pussy Wagon, and they drive under the Bat Bridge. And so it's like bats, boom, 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 boom. You know, just bouncing off the windshield and on the grill and bats, you know, all in the grill. And then you cut to the outside of the bridge and like, you know, 2 million bats followed by cars.
And an hour later, she gets out and the bat flies out of her hair. I have a bat house, for my yard.
You do?
That I ordered, yeah. I went from the Bat Conservatory, but we haven't put it up yet.
I have a bat phone that only a few people know about. This bridge, in the middle of the day, it is hell's waiting room.
This is a griddle right now.
Hey, this is so nothing.
I know, I bet.
Miss Fairhair.
Miss hasn't seen like the outdoors for a while. Miss lives in a bus and in air-conditioned hotel rooms constantly, straight from bus to hotel room to venue. I'll always go for like being alone before I'll go for going out or doing anything, or I don't talk on the phone, and I spend so much time by myself. And I've really gotten down on myself about that before in the past, about like, you know, I should want to be social more. I should want to be going out. I should want to, it's not, there's got to be something unhealthy about this. But I have to spend the whole day in pretty much silence and boredom, and I have to just bore myself and make myself so sick of being alone that I'm hungry to be around all those people. Really, really, I thank you so much for coming out and sweating with all of us. And, now I would like to introduce you to Mr. Quentin Tarantino. Another beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man. Sorry, Now, thinking of that first album and that first tour, and then the second album, the second tour, everything I'm doing now, I don't have that need for the world to understand me anymore. The reason why I'm doing this now is just as a way to gauge how much I've grown. I like doing the same things that I did 10 years ago and noticing how much more joy I can get from things and how much more at ease I am with myself. There are all these little rulers by which I can measure my progress.
Bravo! Bravo! Whether it's fame or ruin, or hardship, or good times, or happy, or sad, or profitable, or destitute, whatever the deal is, you go down your own road, and maybe your rewards are today, or maybe your rewards will be tomorrow, or maybe your rewards will be in another life, but it is, you know, you're going your own way. Where do you live now?
I have a house in Venice.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a wonderful area for you.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's
But that's actually one of the.
You can hear him. You can hear him.
That's them.
Look at that. But this is the first time alone we've ever had
Yeah, I,
together.
know, I think you're right. Not that we had tons of intense conversation. We had
Yeah.
tons of intense stuff, but it was always you were a couple.
Yeah. And the two of you took off most of the conversation.
That's actually a cool thing. I get to know this Fiona